6,000 years before settlers came to our country, this land was occupied by Native Americans. There were 29 tribes right here in South Carolina, and one of them, the Congaree.
The Congaree living down in the vicinity or just downriver from Columbia.
The Congaree lived along the river in what we now know as Richland and Lexington counties. In the 1600s, there was almost 1,000 Congaree. After they fought colonists in the Yamasee War of 1715, their numbers dwindled, and that contact with Europeans also brought diseases like smallpox, which diminished the tribe even more. It was then that the Congaree joined the Catawba, living just to the north.
And that was common practice in Indian country, period. If you were a small tribe and you feared your neighbor, and your numbers got to the point where you didn't feel comfortable, then you went to a larger tribe and asked to become part of them.
Plus, the Catawba had a functioning, civilized society.
And that was one of the things I think that people don't understand. They think that there was uncivilized people living here, but you had communities, you had governments that were operating, that were functioning. So that's pretty complex when you stop and think about it.
Catawba community consisted of multiple towns, and each of these towns was arranged roughly in houses in a circular fashion, and we believe surrounded by a palisade or defensive enclosure. A typical village probably held 150 to 200 people.
Chief Harris describes what life was like.
For the men, it was a hard existence, if you wish to look at it that way. You were a hunter-gatherer society. You figure they made their own implements, so they were also making axes, knives, bows, arrows.
And women had plenty to do as well.
Their day would be mostly working the fields somewhat. They also were responsible for raising the children. They were also responsible for tanning the hides and also preparing for the food that was going to be stored through the winter.
And they started their families at an early age.
History has shown that you married at a very early age, which means you're probably marrying at 14, 15.
The Catawba were a Siouan-speaking nation, and like the Sioux, they were known for their strength when in battle. They also believed that if a member of their tribe was killed, in order for them to rest in peace, they had to avenge the death and would often bring back a scalp as evidence of their success.
When you talk about fierceness, at one time, the Catawbas were considered the fiercest warriors on the East Coast.
But they were also very spiritual with a deep faith, and they had many rituals and prayers.
You'd start your prayer with, for you who never dies, we ask these things of you. It's no different than saying, I ask this in the name of God.
Although there are less than 3,000 remaining tribe members, they still carry on an important tradition of their ancestors.
There's never been a time where we stopped doing pottery. So for 6,000 years, it's been documented that we continuously have done pottery.
And they had a style all their own. They use a unique process called coiling. They gather clay, mix it with water, and roll it into long strips. And then they layer or coil the strips into the desired shape for a bowl or water vessel. Now once that dries, they take some river stones and rub the surface until it's nice and smooth. After that, they heat the piece over an oven to set the clay and also to bring out some beautiful colors. This art form continues to this day.
And this right here is a cubic jug. It was a water vessel. We'd put water in it, hang it up in a tree, and you could drink from one side and pour from the other. It has two distinguished spouts.
So bring your family to the USC Native American Studies Center or the Catawba Reservation to learn more about the original inhabitants of this land. You can see traditional dancing, meet storytellers, and get authentic handmade crafts like jewelry, beaded barrettes, peace pipes, or woven baskets, and of course, one-of-a-kind, genuine Catawba pottery.
We welcome people on our reservation. So come learn about us. We have a rich history, and education is a key to many doors.
For WACH Fox News, I'm Alexis King.